and let's start. So, is Revit ready for precast? That's the question of this webinar, and so we will talk about Revit and about precast concrete. My name is Valentis Balisevičius. I'm a structural engineer and application engineer, and I work with a Precast Concrete Solution in AGACAD. And our mission in AGACAD is to build BIM together with our users to create efficient tools to work on BIM platforms like Revit. And we have a lot of different kind of software solutions based on Revit platform. So we have management of parameters, we have tools for MEP guys, we have this one, Precast Concrete, which we'll talk about. We have shop drawings, connections, reinforcements, which is actually inside the Precast Concrete, or they could be acquired as separate solutions. Then we have framing solutions, then we have some small tools. So we are authorized Autodesk developers and industry partners for precast. Precast Concrete, this is our solution, the name of it, right? And it's to create precast elements, insert connections, to sort them, and to create shop drawings. And we'll try to answer just simple questions, actually, which we get a lot from different clients in conferences, what we see in the, I don't know, yeah, just in classes and conferences, where the questions is this good enough for structural engineers, for precast structural engineers? Is it worth it to, like, if we go into the details, then if it's worth it to create reinforcement in Revit, is it possible to create detailed precast project, right, to the end, to the production level, and then documentation, can create efficiently shop drawings and construction drawings and details. So we'll try to do that in live demo by creating these elements and documentation. So now I'll switch to Revit. You should see my Revit window now. Let me check if everyone is on. Good, so I'll continue, right, with live demo. So what you see here, I just scattered some kind of precast elements, but from what I will start is just basically what do you have in Revit is you have under structural tab, you have different kind of tools for structural engineers. And let me show you just a couple of things, a couple of them, how to use them. So we have wall, right? I will pick this one. And then you have wall types, whatever you have in your project, or you can create single layer or multi-layer walls. Then you select that desired type. I say that it goes from one level to 2 levels. As you can see, I have here some levels defined with some elevations. All right, so let's use them. Let's create just a rectangular shape of the walls. So I have now 4 elements created. If we'll go to the plan view, we'll see that this is a 3-layer wall. We have all the information in them. We have some analytical model as well created, and then if we select each of them, we have all the area, length, volume information at once, right? Then if I pick another size of the wall, let's say over here, so I'll just create something like that. So you can do that in 3D view, you can do that in plan view, you can easily change that, you can draw building grid lines and so on, but just a quick idea of how easy it is to work in Revit is that now I create a column, right? So I pick the size of the column which I want to use. Then I just drop them. You see they are aligning automatically. If I drop something by mistake in other locations, it's really easy to fix the position and so on. So let's go to 3D view. Let's take a look how does it look now. Yeah, so I have them right like that. Let's go to level 2, create some other elements of beam. So beam is in Revit like a line-based element, right? You just pick the type of a beam. Revit has good library for that. So you pick the type of a beam and you define from where to where it should go. So in this case, I'm just drawing them from wall to column, let's say in this kind of way. All right, so these walls, anytime you can modify the shape or the position of elements in Revit, so not a problem, right? So now I have used some offset from the top of the wall. I can just modify that to make it a little bit higher in my case. And as I said, all the elements created, they are like, you create not only element, but you create the plan view, right? You have a plan view, you have, if you make a section, you see them in the section, right? So now I see all of them in the section. I can annotate them. I have all the smart information. So like elevations of elements, I can easily dimension them, right? So it's like that. Then I can easily update them. Let's say I will add some kind of different bottom offset from the level for the columns. Then another thing is that if I'll go to the plan view, for example, for level 2, I see my beams. And then I also have some schedule already prepared here in this project. So you see it gives me all the just information about the beam types, which I have here in a model, and a cut length, the length of the beams and the count of the beams. So I selected this kind of information to be visible. But what I want to show is like in Revit, it's, as I said, you create not only element, but also different kind of information. So when I have these beams, you see this is the type of 600 by 265. So the name is here. So I have 7 of them in this model, but then I just copy them, right? So it's really obvious that it's now changed, update these elements, the number of these elements. So I selected more of them in here. So it's all live and it gives you all type of different value when you use BIM software. All right, so let's go to level 2 and draw, let's say, the floors, right? So we have, again, different type of commands. You can create actually same elements in different ways in Revit. So for example, I pick the type of floor which I want to use, and now I draw the boundary, maybe something inside, and I get, so it wants to attach the walls, but I will just avoid that. You see, have now floor created, floor element. And again, if I want to create slabs, maybe I can just draw a different shape of a beam, right? So let me go here, pick the type of beam I want to create, just draw it from here to here, and then usually what I do with this type of beams, I just disallow joints because I really want to manually control the position of them. Again, I can just easily adjust or move them, so not a problem. Or then I can copy them like that multiple times, right? So I'm just making copies. Looks pretty good. How in 3D view, again, like that, right? So it's really easy to build them in Revit. And then documentation part, as you see, you have some smart elevation stuff, right? The dimensions, it's easy to make documentation. As well, if you have here functionality like assemblies in Revit. So if you do that, like assembly, you go to the bottom of the project browser and you can just create the views which you want to see. So for example, I select a couple of views, the sheet which should be here, and then I get these separate views of separate element. You see, it's only this beam, and then I can go on and tweak it to make it a shop ticket or something. But that would be like kind of one of the ways, right, how to work in Revit. And what I want to show you is our solution, which is tools for BIM. It's a solution called Precast Concrete. It's add-on based on Revit platform. So from what you see, so I turned on our tools for BIM doc, which you can download from our webpage, and then you'll have all of our solutions, and you can get 2 weeks trial for any of these, right? So I'll pick Precast Concrete, and we'll talk about this one in more details. This tool also gives you every time information if any update is available. So currently one of the updates is available for one of the tools of Precast Concrete, but we'll just start using it. So what I want to show you is how this solution can make it efficient. It's not like we are not talking about the possibilities, because it's pretty clear that it's possible to do that, because like, I don't know, you can go to our webpage and find some client stories, right, and see some information about it. So for example, if I'll click on this one, you'll see that people they create really precast, detailed precast models. So I guess that's the conclusion we'll make anyway, that it's not a problem, it's just how efficient you can get. So the next question is how to do that. So we have this add-in, and we have some different kind of tools inside of it. And what I want to show you is that, well, I have single walls here, but I need wall panels actually, right? So we have like a split wall menu in this tool in Smart Walls, and then we have some settings how to split walls around openings, what should be the panel size, and so on. And then I'm just gonna use a couple of commands like split by maximum spacing, for example. So it will pick all of these walls, and based on the split settings, it will divide them into equal size panels for each wall, right? So what I get here now is panels, then I have some gap between them, and I can later on add cuts and connections. So I'm gonna go there. But this wall, I want to split it in different ways, so I can just split it in the center between openings, for example. So I'll use this command, right? And then you can split by grid lines, by other walls, you can split from other directions, and so on. So it's pretty straightforward what gives you this tool, but again, it's a very quick way to create your wall panels, right? Then I have the shape of the walls. I can, let me just select a couple of these walls. This one, and then I have this tool which is called Smart Connections, and in Smart Connections I have configurations where I can define how my elements should be created. So for example, I have wall category and then wall group of configurations. And then I have here settings, how to place this element, right? So it should be placed on the left side, it should be placed with some distances, and it should be placed at the end of the wall. And then in another tab, I say this one should be placed at a corner of the wall. Then this one should be placed at the intersection with the wall. So I have here quite a lot of different settings, right? So let's see how it actually works. So when I select the elements and I say insert elements, and then I pick the configuration which I want, which I have, and these configurations, they are saved in computer. It could be placed in somewhere in the server for everyone in the company to reach out, right? So what happens now is that it just plays different kind of details for my walls. So this wall, let's say it has some details at the bottom, it has some lifting points, details based on gravity point. These are at the end of the wall. This one is at the corner of the wall. So again, different condition, different element. So I have like element which is hosted on the wall. So again, you create element and it gives you information what is the host of this wall. So you can extract later this information. And then I have a loose detail over here, right? And the same in the intersection position. So it automatically recognizes that this is intersection. It's adding these plates, and I have this kind of connection created between my wall panels automatically, right? So I don't need to do that manually, like with Revit. It would take like I would need like several hundreds maybe of these details. So it's really quick way to distribute them. And so that's enough of a tool, right? We split walls, we insert connections, then we have floor panel layout tool, which I already created some floors with the tool which I showed in the beginning, right? The Revit tool. But what I will do now, I will plan layout of my slabs. So I have different, again, settings. What should be the size of my slabs? What should be the direction? And then I can create layout. Direction of slabs, define direction of slabs. I don't know, I can align, let's say, these guys, for example, or I can join regions. For example, I join these regions and then I split them from selected direction or something, and then a narrow part is over here now. And then I can create for each region different conditions, maybe different size, right, of the split and so on. So I have tools for that. And then next step is to create panels. So what kind of slabs do I want to create here? So I have settings for support and what should be the size of it, right? So I'll pick these. I say this should be the size of my slabs. This should be the opening size, which comes with the software. So or we can modify that later on. And let's create these slabs over here. And you see now I have created this kind of floors, which is based on my settings, and the opening style. It could be changed because we are using like separate family, which is cutting the floor, right? So that kind of stuff. Let's change some settings over here, like that, and then like that. So I'll just show you a couple of options here, right? So when I do that over here, you see now this narrow part is without openings, but what I can do is later on I can define what kind of actually cut should be used for this area. So I choose the family which I want to use for the cut, and then I get this nice shape of my slab. And because I had an opening over here, so my slabs are automatically cut. Of course, you don't want to make probably this kind of slab, but that's just the idea how to use the software, right? So I don't get too much into the accuracy in this demo, so but just to show you possibilities. And then, all right, so let's use one more time. I want to use this hole actually, and I want to use this one. I will not use any offset this time, just like that. So what will happen now over here is also that I have this, just a little bit too big, right? So I made let's do it like that. Delete all of these. Actually, what I want to do is that I want to fix that. I want to change the size of it. So let's go ahead, modify this, and then should be all right this time. Yep. So now I have different kind of cut, and then I get different kind of shape of a slab, right? So it could be anything. It could be channel slab. It could be solid slab. If I don't want to cut them, I can leave them like that. Okay, maybe one more time. Panel layout, create panel, layout to that direction. Maybe we could even, again, modify this one as well. Just I want to show you another tool that we have like floor, which is called metal floor plus M, but it's located over here, so I'll drag it. And what I wanted to show you is, so actually floor panel layout, we still need to create panels. So I'll do that. Panel settings, just very thin slab in this case, because I want to create, what I want to create is filigran slabs, or they are called girder slabs in United States probably. So that's, now I have floors like that, and then what I want to do is that I'm just gonna select these floors, and then I will use this tool, which has like framing configurations. It's a tool how to place structural framing elements, and here I have settings like how to distribute, let's say, hollow core slab, or how to distribute these filigran lattice elements. So when I have this kind of configuration, I can assign this configuration to this wall type, and then just add them, and then they should follow the shape of my slab, and then just distribute based on the rules which I have used, how they should be. So yeah, let's wait for a couple of elements will be created for this slab as well. All right, so what I have here is, yep, like that. So this kind of element is just distributed on these elements, and you don't need to, draw each of them and then adjust the size of it, or actually the family is created in such a way that it's rotated automatically by software. So, but yeah, that's the idea, and then you can use it to distribute any of other elements. Like if I have this slab, I can add different structural framing elements. So I'll use it here as well, and then I get double T's as well, right? So this is like structural framing element in this case, right? So again, depends on how do you create. You can create Revit elements in different kind of ways, right? Okay, so we have created walls, some connections and floors. So beams and columns, it's really easy to create with Revit tools, right? You have beam and column tool, so it's not a problem. You just pick the section, what it should be. And then, all right, so what I will do, I will hide these guys. I don't want to see them. I want to select only these slabs, for example. So I'll pick these slabs. I'll pick also these guys. I'll pick these guys. And yeah, let's pick this one, several of these. Okay. And what I want to do actually is now go back a little bit to smart connections. And I have this auto insert command, which allows you to, you can place name of configuration into the element. And then if you use auto insert, it will read the name of configuration which should be used, and then it will apply to these elements. It will insert connections or Revit families or cuts just based on this configuration into all the selected elements. So you see that I selected different elements, the beams, the columns, and it's just going through all of them now and inserting these corbels, bolts, cuts, connection elements, and so on. So you see how many details now I have inserted. So let's go to the plan view. I want to show you one thing. For example, this sandwich wall, I had like 3-layer wall. So now I just place this kind of cut over here, this kind of cut over here. So, and then these elements were just created. Then also reveal was created for this one. Over here for this one, I have different kind of families created, right? So these are really simple rectangular line-based families, and then I'm just cutting them, placing them. Also, it has some really smart features, like it can find intersections. So based on the surrounding elements, it's just placing the new elements, right? So in the corner, I have this kind of element, in the intersection, this kind of element. But if it's like the wall which has yeah, so let's say this one is just the end connection, right? So it's just giving me the straight element over here. And the good thing about it is that these are Revit elements. So if I have some kind of collision, right, I don't like this one to be in this position. So it's really easy to just select them and move them to the good position, right? So by 200, and then they are in the position I want. So that's really easy to combine the power of Revit and our solutions, and then make it really efficient, right? And in here we have corbel, we have some detail at the bottom, we have detail at the top, right? And then we have bolts as well. Then these guys placed on gravity point, these cut families at the ends of the beam. So different kind of stuff. You could, I don't know, change the type of a beam, for example, if I'll make it like that. And then I will select these guys, and then I will say update elements. So all of the tools, they have update, modify options, right? So what it gives me, it's just moved this one, it updated the size of a cut, it updated the size of the bolt, right? So this kind of stuff you can automate and get it done quite quickly, right? And then, as I said, you can find some surrounding and some, how to say, place details based on situation. So for example, let me show you these columns. So I just placed this plate at the bottom, then I placed this cut, and then I place these bolts based on position of these plates. So we'll see that I have them only where I have the plates in the wall. If I don't have them, they are not created. So again, could be really interesting and ways how to use it and adopt it. And so usually these are the biggest part probably of precast concrete. Of course, you have like, I don't know, fancy shapes. You have bricks in the sandwich panels. You have, I don't know, round precast walls, or but it's achievable. It's just that a lot of different kind of ways could be used to do that, right? For example, I have created here like just a floor, right? So I build up a floor, for example. I change the size for it. I change maybe span direction for it. And then what I want to do is to insert elements to this floor, and then I pick the configuration, and I say I want to place it like that. So what I did here, I just placed this kind of cut at the top, so I would have slope. So I want to create the balcony element, right? And then I have here drop cut for the balcony, right? So I made it like this. But again, you could be a little bit, you could create the same element in a little bit different way, right? So again, it depends on how is it in your company, in your country, maybe requirements of your manufacturers which you work with. So for example, now I had just created floor, and this time I will just pick this line and say that I want to have 20 millimeters lower this edge, and then now I also have slope, right? And then of course I can use the same configuration which I used previously, but it is just that I don't need this probably cut. Maybe I can modify the configuration to leave only this one, but as I said, there are different kind of ways. And then probably with stairs, I can also show this kind of example. So in Revit, stairs, actually stairs are under the architectural part, right? So it already makes me some suspicious, right? But what you depends again, what do you do? Let's say this is preliminary design, so it's pretty cool. I mean, you select these stairs, maybe I'll go to actually plan view and do it like that. So stairs, again, you select the type of stairs, you select parameters from where to where, what should be the size of it, right? How many of stair steps do you want to have? And then you draw the run. So and you see numbers, how many of them are created, how many are left. You draw it like that. You draw it in the other direction. Setting the landing. I'm just gonna finish that. Okay, I forgot to remove railings, so I'll just delete them. Okay, so here we have this one created. Again, I need to select this one, I guess, and then just remove this one. So to get the notch type of connection between the landing and the run. But well, I cannot create assembly of this one, and I cannot place reinforcement, I guess, for these stairs. So it's not probably good for the workshop stage when you need to deliver drawings. So what I did another way is I created a family of stairs, right? So it's like a structural framing family. It has some heights. You select the type of it, and then you say where do you want to draw it, and then you just draw the length of it, for example. So I just draw like, I don't know, maybe a little bit shorter. Should be something like maybe like that, 4.8 meter, right? And then if I'll go here to the section, just reduce slightly the section depth and go here. And then, so I have this stair which I can control, I don't know, like, again, the number of stairs, right? So to get the shape which I want, or the landing should be like maybe 1.5 meter instead of 1.2. So I get my shape, but then I also can use reinforcement tool on this kind of element, right? So I pick the size of the reinforcement which I want to use. I just say I want to place it, I don't know, the shape of reinforcement which I want to use, maybe straight bar over here, or maybe I want to sketch reinforcement on this plane, and I want to just have this shape of rebars, right? And then, I don't know, it's just created like that, right? Let's take a look now to 3D view. I have like this only one bar created, but again, we have like different rules how to distribute them. You can use any of these, like fixed number or maximum distance, or I don't know, like 10 of them now in this area. So I do that like that, right? I create my reinforcement. Let me just change visibility setting, and then you can copy them, right? Oops, sorry. Just in the position you want, and it's pretty cool to create them like that and continue to development stage. But again, what I see, like, depends on, again, what is it very standard for you, like from project to project, how much does it change and so on. The other way is like you could use also model in place possibilities in Revit. So for example, you draw the section, go to the section. All right, so we see this one, but you have this like model in place option, right? So you could select the just category actually here. Depends again, do you export this information somewhere, or how do you work with it? So let me just create a couple of these stairs, right? So like that, I'll just simply draw nothing uncommon, right? If you ever just switching to Revit, so it's really easy, right? It's the same drawing style workflow. So, but instead of creating 2D element, I'm creating 3D element. And what I have here now, just used extrusion command. It doesn't look very nice, so I'll just do it like this. Or I don't know, you have these lines, but of course I'm not making this very technical, no real dimensions, but in this kind of way you could create your own shape, because what I see from clients, we usually get this kind of elements somewhere, right? Together with landing, with no landing, different kind of connections between landing and so on. So it depends on the, as I said, situation. What do you need? So there are different methods to create your elements, but it's affordable. I mean, like it's quite good. I mean, you can do that, create your elements. You will you have tools for that, so you're not stuck somewhere. So let me hide this one. So another thing, so I used a couple of reinforcement tools from here, from Revit, but what we have in our solutions where we have is that we have this wall reinforcement tool, and we have configuration, and in configurations we have settings how to place external bar, internal bar, just spacing, the size of element, what covers, how to go around opening, how to go around perimeter of the wall, and then so you have different kind of. So what I will do, let me see. So I'll select these elements, and then I will say I want to insert reinforcement. Again, I said that one configuration should be used for this wall, one configuration should be used for this wall. We have like link command in this tool, but I already did that before our webinar. So, but the idea is like you create configuration and you create reinforcement based on that configuration, and it will analyze the shape of the wall and how many layers do you have of the wall. So you can assign different configurations for the external layer, for the internal layer. All right, so yeah, quite a lot of reinforcement, right? But it's relatively quick, I would say. Really, really amazing. Like you have all these bars, and then diagonal bars and edge bars, and then in the corners these guys, right? So you have this kind of option. You have U-shape bars distributed just along the edge of a wall. Then this one, it's a 3-layer wall. So if I'm gonna make section, for example, over here, so this is 3-layer wall, and I have used different configurations for external layer and internal layer, right? So if we'll go to section, let's make it fine. So you'll see that I have here just 1 layer of reinforcement, and here I have 2 layers of reinforcement. I have some U-shaped bars just automatically distributed in this wall panel. So again, this kind of tools are available. And then the next step would be to create shop drawings, right? Shop tickets to automate actually the process, because you could do similar stuff with Revit. It just will take you, let's say, 2 hours instead of 5 minutes, right? So you can let me do one more thing. I will select all of these walls, and then I will go to sort mark tool, which allows us to renumber elements. So I'll renumber elements automatically. I selected all of these walls, and when I say I want to write information into mark, so I'll pick this mark. I will say that okay, I have different kind of configurations already created here, but well, what you can do, you can group them, you can filter walls, and based on renumber based on any parameters, like based on length. If length is different, then the number will be different, right? Or if volume as well, or volume or height of the wall is different, then the number will be different. So you can select any parameters here, which will have influence on numbering. But okay, actually, maybe I'll just remove this. I will leave instance ID, so it will give all of them different mark, and then start numbering at 1, prefix is this one, and then so I can save this configuration and use it for future project. So just 48 of them renumbered automatically. Again, so it's very powerful tool. It's not restricted to one type of numbering, right? sorry, you can make it depends on the manufacturer. Let's say it requires you to renumber sandwich walls with some kind of special type of numbering, or you can automatically separate them by level and so on. So there are a lot of different kind of features for that. But let's move on. Let's select this element. Now you see this. I have these mark assigned, mark values. All of the walls they have this. I also may just modify them manually, but the thing I want to show you is smart assemblies. So smart assemblies, it has configurations where you can define how the shop drawings should be created. So the view, how to rotate the view automatically, what should be the name of the view, what should be visible in that view, what should be dimensioning rules. So really flexible and really working in practice. I mean, these dimensioning rules are used by many clients, and then so very flexible. If you want to have like ordinate dimension, diagonal dimension, I don't know, you choose how it should be, where your dimension line should snap to in the families. And Revit is really easy to do that because you have families, and inside the family you have different kind of tracking points, or you can create your own, right? And you can just snap your dimension lines exactly to the position where you want, and dimension could be placed at the, again, at the top, at the bottom, based on the requirements, what we have, your standards. So when you have that, you define what kind of schedule do you want to create and what kind of sheets do you want to create. So you define the number of sheets, right? So what I will do, I'll just close down this one, create modify, create assemblies, select the assembly configuration which I want to use, click on create, and then it will just create, take all the elements into the assembly. So you see all of them, they are now grouped. If you have reinforcement, they will be added as well. So these are grouped. Also, assembly mass is calculated, right? So I have assembly mass. I have some data about when it was created. Then I have this gravity point inserted based on the wall shape and size and material properties. And let me see what was created. So I have front view. And then I said that for the top dimension, I want to have this style of dimension. And for the side dimension, I want to have this side of style of dimension line, right? Ordinate dimension here, but just linear dimension over here. So it again depends on my settings, right? And then here I want to have notes also for these elements. So it gives me information about this element. If I'll take a look, this is the name of it, right? So you can define what kind of information should be visible here and so on. And also some schedules created and so on. So what, and the sheets, right? So what I will do, I'll just drag the front view here, vertical view over here. I will align them. I will also say that I don't want to see these guys, no title, let's say. Then I created schedule just for the mass. I created another schedule for the details. I have another schedule just for the volume. And then what else? Okay, I have this kind of wall schedule, general information. And then what I will do, I will go back to configuration of this element. So configuration, shop drawing configuration. So again, configurations are saved somewhere you define in computer. You have a configuration file location. And then the sheet. So this time I will say that this sheet should be used as a sheet template, right? So it means that now when okay, let's do one more thing actually. Let's just quickly add some details. If the configuration is assigned, should be good. All right, good enough. Okay, and here, go back to Smart Assemblies, and where is it? Okay, create create assemblies. And this time, when I pick the same configuration and click on create, so what will happen is that now when assembly is created, we can go to this one and to the sheet, and you see now views are automatically placed in the same positions. So I have volume, I have assembly mass, I have schedule tables for the details. How many of them do I have in this one? I have dimension lines for this wall, and also dimension lines for the window, actually, in this case. So that's the way you can go around, right? I'm just wondering, okay, it doesn't matter. What else? If we talk about like, so that's one of the ways, right? But if we'll take a look to our webinars, which we made before, there are different kind of examples for beams, columns, floors, and so on, for the shop drawings, I mean, right? But one more thing is quite often asked is about construction drawings. So like in Revit, yeah, it's really easy to make. Let's say you just make the section and you define what should be visible in it, right? So if I'll go to section, I see all the walls. Then I can use, I don't know, smart assemblies, and then I can prepare some rules how to dimension something. Again, depends what do I want to do, but let's say I make new configuration and rename it and say walls in elevation or something, and then I pick the category of the walls, which I have here. Where is my walls? Sorry, over here. So I'll pick this one, drag to the top, so it will be closer to me. And then I will say I want to have, let's say, a horizontal dimension, which will measure the left and right of walls, and the dimension line will be, let's put it on the top of these walls. And then note, we don't need any note, and we don't need any total dimension, so I'll just remove that, right? And then let's try to use that now, dimension elements in view, and just dimension them. So now we'll see that I have this dimension line, which is giving me dimension lines of the panels. So in this case, I was measuring panels, but it could be, I don't know, structural connections or something, and then maybe I'll just change visibility so the connections would be visible. And this one was measuring actually this wall, but so I could filter out that as well. So this kind of stuff, right? And then you just tweak it with Revit, right? You just go on, move, add some information and so on, like that. Another thing is that when you have typical, let's say you have typical connections between elements. So let me go back a little bit to smart connections. Actually, what I want to do, I want to insert these. I forgot to insert this configuration, so I'll just do that now. Because yeah, what I wanted to have here as well, these guys, right? And then I can just actually update the connections of this wall. So what will happen? It will add also the corbels for the double T in this case. So I have this kind of configuration, right? So it's just based on this position of fat plate of a double T. So when I have it, what I want to show is like I want to have construction just detail, right? So I can make a section like that, then make maybe view detail, and then place some information on it by using annotation tools or by using just tools to indicate what's inside of it, right? So it's really cool that it's just inside the element, right? You have this information, you extract this information from element. So this is the name of the type of my element. So I just extract it. I don't need to type it. I don't need to remember what it should be. So you can do it like this, like live section, right? But it's not always like that. I mean, in some situations, it's you need to repeat this detail on each sheet, and in each project they are, let's say, the same. But if you make a live section, you need to every time detail that. I mean, to place these elements, to reduce the size of the view, to place this guy, to remove some area, right? But what you can do is that you can also create legend elements in Revit. So it's like 2D view. It's just that you use this kind of 2D elements, like there is also library of it. It could be line-based element. It could be like a point-based elements. So you do that. It could be like families, or you just can draw the lines, right? So for example, I draw some wall. Sorry, maybe just copy that, right? So again, it's up to your habits. How do you do that? But basically, you could draw lines, and another way would be to use these detail components, which is available in Revit, and you place them. And the good thing about the components is that you could extract information again from them. Of course, this is too detail, and it's not related to the model, which is a minus when we think about the concept. But again, you could use that, because in some projects, if you want to repeat that, or you need to place some kind of detail on each sheet, so legend is the best way, because you can place legend on any sheet. I mean, you can place it multiple times, right? So that's a good thing, that you can, let's say, drag this one on this sheet, and then you can do the same on this sheet as well, right? You can drag the same legend view and distribute them, and then the smart assemblies automatically place them on the sheet. So that's a couple of things about the construction details. So depends on the project, depends on your specialty. If you use with precast, you make precast project, and then after 2 months you start cast in place project, and then go on to the steel project. So probably it's good to make section and then make a detail of it. But if you always work with precast elements, and they are pretty standard, so it's a good way and used by many engineers. From what I see, they use this kind of detail items. So just think about it. And that's what I wanted to show live. I say, what else I would mention, that you have like help page for each of the tool. So if you select, let's say, wall reinforcement, and you click here on this question mark, it will bring up the browser, and it will open that help page for the solution. And let's say for wall reinforcement, it's like you can find different kind of just files, how to start using it, how to apply it, and you can learn about it. Sorry. So if I'll turn back a little bit back to my slides. So the aim of webinar was a little bit to question about it. I mean, to talk about the view about the BIM and 2D. So because like still a lot of market is on 2D, and we are trying to help to get there. So like common questions what people have is like BIM software or still 2D software? Should we switch at all? So just think about it, like it was hand drawing and it was AutoCAD. So which software will be industry standard after several years, right? So I think just make a guess about it, right? So which one is better for collaboration? Which one gives you less mistakes? That's the questions you need to answer if you want to make a decision. and well, of course, I will say that it's much better, and you don't want to switch back to 2D drawing. Never. I mean, if sometimes you get some frustrating things, you will never want to get back to 2D. So yeah, if we go dive deeper, right? So which platform would give you more data, like because from BIM platform you can transfer information to estimation to enterprise resource planning systems to machines, right? Even if you don't have this kind of request today, just think about what will happen in a few other years. And efficiency and speed, so it's also one of the biggest question, like but it's hard to evaluate, I would say, because and give straight answer, because how do you evaluate? Like if you see that you make a copy of a beam, you get this straight into the schedules, you have this in the plan, in the section, you have it everywhere, right? And what happens in 2D, and what will happen if you make mistake, right? So you need to be really really accurate and always concentrated very much. So a little bit layback in 2D, of course, not too much. Anyway, you need to be accurate and concentrated, but it gives a little bit less of stress and then hard to evaluate how much updates and modification takes in 2D and BIM platform. And then how many years do you use? Like you use AutoCAD probably 10 years now or something, and then you try to compare if it will be the same speed in first year in Revit, so probably will not. But after a few years, I'm pretty sure it will be even just different kind of advantages you'll have, and then the speed will be very good. So switching to BIM also, like should we do it now or should we do it later? Of course, it's an individual situation, and I cannot like recommend to you, but just think about it, like how much time it will take, right, to fully implement this into your company. So maybe now was like a year ago already, so maybe yeah, so just the best time probably is now. And if we talk about this, then you need to know that we have some also discounts coming until the Christmas. So if you're interested in a code, you can drop a message to us, right? And then of course we have this tools for BIMDoc, which you can download and have a 2 weeks trial for free if you would like to test it on your own, or just contact us and let us help you to start. And then you can contact us via this email always. We'll get back to you. And okay, it was nice to have you all here. This is the end, I guess, and let's keep in touch and have a good day. Bye-bye.
AGACAD, building BIM together.